At exactly 2:13 a.m., a 911 operator in a quiet suburb outside Columbus, Ohio received a call that would later leave investigators confused for years. But what they discovered in that house, and what appeared on camera for less than a second, is something you need to see till the very end, because even today, no one has been able to explain it. The line connected, but for a few seconds, there was only silence. Then, barely audible, a woman whispered, "He's already inside. He knows where I am." Her voice trembled like she was trying not to breathe too loudly. The operator immediately asked for her name, and after a pause, she replied, "Emily, Emily Harper." What made the call unsettling wasn't just her fear, it was the way she spoke. Like she wasn't just hiding from someone, but from something she couldn't fully understand herself. Emily lived alone in a modest two-story house in a peaceful neighborhood where nothing unusual ever happened. Neighbors described her as quiet and polite, though distant. Some mentioned she always looked exhausted, like she hadn't slept properly in days. That night, as the operator kept her on the line, Emily whispered that she could hear footsteps in the hallway. The operator asked if her doors were locked. Emily hesitated before replying, "I locked them, but he didn't come through the door." That sentence alone was enough to send officers rushing to her location with urgency, not knowing they were about to walk into a case that would never fully make sense. Police arrived within minutes, but everything about the house looked normal. No signs of forced entry, no broken windows, no movement inside. When they stepped in, announcing themselves, the house was silent. They found Emily sitting on the kitchen floor, holding her phone tightly, staring at nothing. The call was still active. When she looked up at the officers, her expression was a mix of relief and confusion. "You didn't see him?" she asked, as if she truly believed someone had been standing right behind them moments before. That single question would later become one of the most chilling parts of the entire case.
Officers searched every room, every closet, every possible hiding place, but there was no one else in the house. Still, something felt off. One officer noticed that every mirror in the house had been covered. Bed sheets, towels, even pieces of paper taped over smaller surfaces. When asked why, Emily's response was immediate and chilling. "Because he shows up in them." At that moment, the case stopped feeling like a normal emergency call and started turning into something far more disturbing. Detectives later reviewed the home's security camera footage. At first, it showed nothing unusual, but at 2:12 a.m., just 1 minute before the call, Emily appeared in the hallway. She stopped in front of a mirror that had already been covered. Then she started speaking, quietly, like someone was standing in front of her. She tilted her head slightly as if listening. Then she slowly stepped backward, her body language showing fear, reacting to something that simply wasn't visible on camera. And this is where things begin to take a turn you won't expect. During questioning, Emily insisted someone had been inside. She tried to describe the man, but every time she did, the details changed. His height, his voice, even his face, nothing stayed consistent. Hours into the interrogation, her tone shifted. She became quieter, more uncertain. Then, almost in a whisper, she said something that made the room fall completely silent. "He looks like me." Investigators exchanged glances, unsure whether they were dealing with fear, confusion, or something psychological far more serious. Experts were brought in, and Emily was later diagnosed with severe dissociation, a condition where the mind can create a separate identity or presence. It explained her fear, but not everything. Because when detectives reviewed the footage again, frame by frame, they noticed something they had missed before. And this is the moment that made even experienced officers uncomfortable to talk about. At exactly 2:13 a.m., for less than a second, there was a reflection visible through the edge of the covered mirror. It was faint, almost impossible to catch unless you were looking carefully. But it was there, a face staring directly toward the camera. And it wasn't Emily. The case was eventually closed due to lack of evidence. No intruder was ever found, and officially, nothing had entered or left the house that night. But the footage still exists, quietly archived, occasionally revisited, and to this day, no one has been able to explain what appeared in that reflection, or why Emily was so certain she wasn't alone. So the real question is, if no one was ever inside that house, then who was she talking to?